Los Angeles, California. Warner Brothers Studios, Stage 9. October 1982. Wednesday morning, 9:15 a.m. The soundstage is dressed as a 1950s Air Force briefing room. Metal chairs arranged in rows, a podium at the front, American flags, maps of the Soviet Union on the walls. This is the set of Firefox, a Cold War thriller about stealing a Soviet fighter jet. Clint Eastwood is directing and starring, 52 years old. He's made this look routine by now, acting in scenes, then watching playback, making adjustments, moving efficiently through the schedule. He's been directing for 12 years, made 15 films, developed a reputation for fast, efficient productions. No wasted time, no ego battles, no drama, just work. But this morning, there's tension on set. A new actor arrived yesterday, playing a supporting role, a CIA operative who briefs Clint's character. The actor is in his late 30s, trained at the Actors Studio in New York, method trained. He has credits, respectable work, a reputation for intensity, for commitment, for taking the craft seriously. His name is David. He's excited to work with Clint Eastwood, excited to be in a major studio film, but also, and the problem, he wants to make sure everyone knows he's a serious actor, a trained actor, not just a guy who hit his marks and said lines. Yesterday, during the first rehearsal, David asked Clint if they could spend time discussing their character's relationship, building backstory, understanding motivation. Clint said, "We can talk if you want, but I've got the character, you've got yours, we say the lines, the scene will work." David looked disappointed. "Don't you think we should explore the subtext? Really dig into what's happening beneath the words?" "The subtext is in the script. We don't need to dig. Just say the lines like you mean them." David tried again. "But method technique teaches us to..." "I'm not method. I just work. If you need to prepare your own way, that's fine. But when we shoot, just be ready." David walked away frustrated, feeling dismissed, feeling like Clint didn't respect the craft, didn't understand real acting. Now this morning, they're shooting the briefing scene. David's character explains the mission, gives Clint's character critical information. It's exposition, necessary but not exciting. The kind of scene that happens in every spy thriller. David has been preparing since 6 a.m., working with the dialect coach even though the character is American, doing sense memory exercises, building the character's interior life. This is how he was trained. This is how serious actors work. Clint arrives at 8:30, gets into costume, sits in the makeup chair for 20 minutes, reviews his lines while the makeup artist works. That's his preparation. No exercises, no method work, just learning the words and showing up ready. The assistant director calls everyone to set. They're ready for a rehearsal, just blocking, making sure everyone knows where to stand and move. David is already in character, posture different, voice different, completely immersed. He's not David anymore. He's the CIA operative, lived in, real. Clint walks onto set, looks at the setup, asks the DP a question about lighting, looks at the script supervisor, confirms the line. Just business. No character work, no transformation. David watches this, bothered by it. Where's the preparation? Where's the process? Where's the respect for the craft? The assistant director says, "Let's walk through it once. David, you'll be at the podium." Clint enters here, sits here. David gives the briefing. Clint asks 2 questions. Scene ends. They walk through the blocking. Mechanical, just movement, no performance yet. David tries to bring intensity to the rehearsal, speaks his lines with authority, with the weight of a man delivering critical information, really acting, really working. Clint just walks through it, says the lines flatly, marking it, saving the performance for when the camera rolls. The assistant director says, "Good, let's shoot it." David raises his hand. "Can we do one more rehearsal? I want to make sure I've got the rhythm, make sure Clint and I are connecting." Clint looks at him. "We're connected. You brief me. I listen. I ask questions. It's pretty straightforward." But the emotional reality, it's a briefing. The emotional reality is you're briefing me. That's it. David feels dismissed again. Feels like Clint is treating this like factory work, like they're stamping out widgets instead of creating art. But the decision is made. They're shooting, the cameras roll. David delivers his briefing. He's good, prepared, committed. Every word chosen, every gesture intentional. He's giving a performance. Clint sits in the chair, listens. His face shows nothing. Not boredom, not interest. Just attention. Just a man receiving information. When it's Clint's turn to speak, he asks his two questions. Simple, direct. No performance, no technique. Just asking questions. The scene is over in 90 seconds. The director of photography says, "That's good. Check the gate." Clint stands. "Let's see playback." They watch the monitor. The scene plays back. David watches himself, thinks he did well, gave a strong performance, showed his training, showed his commitment. Then he watches Clint and realizes something. Clint isn't acting. Clint is just being, just existing as the character. No technique visible, no effort showing, just real. And somehow, this is what bothers David. Clint's non-performance is more believable than David's carefully crafted performance. The camera loves what Clint does because Clint isn't doing anything. He's just being present, just listening, just responding naturally. While David looks like he's acting, looks like he's trying, looks like someone performing rather than existing, Clint says, "That's good. Print it. Moving on." David can't help himself. "Don't you want to try it another way? Explore different approaches?" Clint looks at him, patient but firm. "Why? It worked. You gave your information. I received it. The scene accomplished what it needed to accomplish. What would another take add? Depth, nuance, different choices. The depth is already there, in the simplicity, in the straightforwardness. This isn't Chekhov. This is a briefing scene in an action film. We don't need depth. We need clarity." David feels his frustration rising. "With respect, I've trained for years to bring depth to every scene, to find the emotional truth underneath the words. That's what acting is. That's what method acting is. But it's not the only way to act, and it's not always the best way." The crew is watching now, uncomfortable. This is turning into something. David knows he should stop, knows he's being difficult, but he can't stop himself. "You don't think you need technique? You don't think you need training?" Clint is quiet for a moment, then says, "I've been acting for 30 years, made over 40 films, directed 15. I know what works, and what works is truth, not technique pretending to be truth. Actual truth. And you think you have truth without technique? I think I have truth because I don't rely on technique. I rely on understanding the character and becoming him, not playing him, being him." David can't hide his skepticism. "You think you can just become a character without process, without preparation, without the work?" "I didn't say without preparation. I said without technique. I prepare by understanding who the character is, what he wants, what he fears. Once I understand that, I don't need exercises, don't need method, don't need process. I just show up and be him." "That's not possible. You can't just be someone else without building them from the inside out." Clint looks at him, really looks at him, then says, "Watch." He walks to the podium where David was standing, takes David's position, says to the crew, "Roll camera." The camera operator, confused, starts rolling. Clint delivers David's briefing, word for word, but completely different. Not performed, not crafted, not worked on, just said. Like a real CIA operative giving a real briefing to a real pilot. No performance, no indication, no showing the audience that he's acting. Just truth. The monologue takes about 30 seconds. When Clint finishes, he looks at David. "That's how I work. No method, no process, just understanding the character and being him when the camera rolls. You want to use method? Fine. That's your choice, but don't tell me it's the only way or the best way. It's one way, not mine. The soundstage is silent. 30 people holding their breath. David stands there, his face red, humiliated. He just got shown up, got his entire approach to acting challenged and dismissed in 30 seconds. But he also saw something. Saw that what Clint did was real, was believable, was true in a way David's carefully crafted performance wasn't. David nods slowly. I apologize. You're right, I was out of line. Clint's expression softens. You weren't out of line. You were defending your craft. I respect that. But understand, there's more than one way to act. Method works for some people. Doesn't work for me. Never has. I found a different way. Doesn't make yours wrong. Just makes it different. He walks over to David, puts a hand on his shoulder. You're a good actor, trained, committed. But you're working too hard, trying to show everyone you're acting. The best acting is invisible. The best performances are the ones where you don't see the work, you just see the person. David absorbs this. How do I get there? Stop showing, start being, stop performing, start existing. Trust that if you understand the character deeply enough, you don't need technique to bring him to life. He's already alive. You just let him out. Clint walks back to his position. Let's shoot the next scene. The crew resets. David watches Clint work for the rest of the day, watches how he prepares, how he shows up, how he becomes the character without apparent effort, and realizes something. Clint's preparation is different, but just as rigorous. He's not winging it. He's not lazy. He's just prepared in a way that doesn't look like preparation. He knows the character so well that when the camera rolls, technique isn't necessary. The character just exists. That evening, after wrap, David approaches Clint. Can I ask you something? Sure. How do you prepare? If you don't use method, don't do exercises. What do you do? Clint thinks. I read the script until I know it cold, till I understand every moment, every beat, every intention. Then I think about who this person is, not his backstory necessarily, just who he is as a human being, what drives him, what scares him, what he'd never do. That's it. I know him that well. I don't need to access him through exercise or sense memory or method. I just think about him until he's real to me. And then when I step on set, he's there, ready. And if he's not, then I haven't done enough work, haven't understood him well enough. But that rarely happens anymore. After 30 years, I know how to build a character in my head. I don't need to build him on set. David is quiet. Then, I've been doing it wrong. You haven't been doing it wrong. You've been doing it your way. But your way is making you work harder than you need to, making you perform when you should be existing. How do I change? You don't change overnight, but you start by trusting yourself more, by understanding that you don't need to show the audience you're working. They don't care about your process. They care about truth. And truth comes from preparation, not performance. David nods. Thank you. You're welcome. Now stop trying so hard. You're good. You just need to get out of your own way. The film wraps 6 weeks later. David learns more in those 6 weeks than in 4 years at the actor's studio. Learns that less is more, that stillness is power, that the best acting is invisible. Years later, David is interviewed about his career, about his training, about his approach. The interviewer asks, "What's the most important lesson you learned?" David thinks. Clint Eastwood taught me that technique is a tool, not a religion. That there's more than one way to create truth. And that sometimes the best way to act is to not act at all. Just be. What does that mean? It means stop showing the audience your work. Stop performing. Start existing as the character. Trust that if you've done the preparation, really done it, the performance will take care of itself. Did Eastwood teach you that? He showed me, in about 30 seconds. Destroyed everything I thought I knew about acting. Then rebuilt it into something simpler, truer, better. 2024. Clint Eastwood is 94 years old. He's acted in over 50 films, directed over 40, and through all of it, the same principle, the same approach, the same understanding that technique is a tool, not a god. That preparation matters, but performance should be invisible. That the best acting happens when the audience forgets they're watching an actor, just sees a person, living, breathing, existing truthfully in the moment. That's what he showed David in 11 seconds. What he's shown audiences for 60 years. Not technique. Truth, not performance. Being, not acting. Existing. The method actor challenged him, questioned his approach, demanded to know how he could create depth without process. And Clint showed him, in one take, 30 seconds. No preparation, no warm-up, no process. Just truth. Just understanding the character well enough to become him instantly. That's not magic. That's mastery. That's 30 years of work condensed into the ability to access truth without visible effort. The method actor saw it, learned it, changed his entire approach because of it. Because sometimes the most powerful teaching isn't explanation, it's demonstration. Clint didn't argue with David, didn't defend his approach with words, just showed him. Watch. This is how it's done. This is what truth looks like. 11 seconds, one demonstration, one lesson that changed how a method actor understood his craft. Not because method is wrong, because there's more than one path to truth. And Clint's path, preparation without performance, understanding without technique, being without showing, is just as valid, maybe more valid, because it's invisible, because it doesn't ask the audience to appreciate the work, just asks them to believe the person. And belief is everything. Belief is what makes cinema work. Belief is what separates actors from movie stars from legends. Clint figured that out decades ago. And on a soundstage in 1982, he taught it to a method actor in 11 seconds. Not with words, with demonstration, with truth, with being. That's real power. That's real teaching. That's real mastery. 11 seconds, one demonstration, one lesson that lasts a lifetime. Stop performing. Start being. The camera will find everything it needs.